that constitutional review would not be repeated waste of public funds. But the bigger question remains if these reforms will survive the long road through state assemblies and political interest pushback. In Abuja, I am Chimize Zadima for Signature TV.
Two new state creation movements are making headlines in Nigeria's ongoing constitutional review. From the south-south to the north-central, the push for Obolo and Kainji states sparks sharp debates, one fueled by allegations of marginalization, the other by promises of economic viability. Correspondent Chimeze Zedima also has the report.
At the National Public Hearing on Constitution Review in Abuja on Monday, advocates of state creation made compelling case for adding additional states to the present 36. For the Obolo state creation movement, comprising Orun, Ibeno and Obolo people of Akwa Ibom State alongside Adoni communities in Rivers, their demand is framed as a constitutional right rooted in justice, equity and cultural unity. But controversy is trailing their demand after Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Umo Eno reportedly vowed to sabotage any move to create a state from his area of authority. The Obolo State Creation Movement has described the governor's position as insensitive and an abuse of public office.
The Obolo State demand is not an act of rebellion, but a legitimate and constitutional call for justice by the Orun, Ibeno, and Obolo people of Akwa Ibom State, in unison with their Anthony brothers and sisters in Rivers State. The movement is driven by a desire for an administrative convenience, equitable development, and cultural unity, not antagonism against any person or government.
From the North Central came another strong pitch. Leaders from Borgu, Kotangora and Zuru Emirates submitted detailed plans for their creation of Kanji State, carved from Niger and Kebbi. Their argument rests on numbers. Over 3.4 million people, a landmass larger than many existing states, and critical infrastructure like hydroelectric power stations. Advocates also say the states would enhance security in under-governed spaces plagued by banditry.
We want the error committed by the National Assembly to be corrected. We are agitating the creation of this state to be situated in North Central state, North Central geopolitical zone, not Northwest, because two emirates from Niger State with one emirate from Kebbi State. Therefore, the proper location of the state when created is North Central, not Northwest. So I hope that will be done. For a very long time, since the advent of colonialism, the people that comprise these three emirates were brought together since 1902. And not only that, even though subsequent administrative structures in Nigeria affected them, but still they believe it is time for them to come together. And we have two major hydroelectricity dams. We have the Kainji, we have the Zungeru dams. So in terms of whatever criteria, we deserve this state.
With over 36 proposals for state creation before the National Assembly, Obolo and Kanji are just two of many voices demanding recognition. The big question is whether these aspirations will survive the long legislative road or fade like past agitations into history. In Abuja, I am Chimize Zadima for Signature TV.
Up ahead, show evidence of 1 trillion naira disbursement to MSMEs since 2015. P2B challenges FG. NSIB blames poor maintenance faulty track switch for Abuja-Kaduna train derailment. These and more after the break.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking. Events occur and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
The 2023 Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi has challenged the federal government to show evidence of disbursement of 1 trillion naira to micro, small and medium enterprises, MSMEs, in Nigeria since 2015. In a post on his verified X handle on Wednesday, Obi said that most Nigerians are not aware of any such disbursement, stressed that over 80% of the citizens are not aware of the existence of a Development Bank of Nigeria (DBN), which released the report. According to him, the level of knowledge about the existence and utility of such an institution is directly proportional to its impact on the people it is meant to serve. Said that if indeed such an amount was deployed to support enterprises, the result should be evident. The Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau says its investigation into the recent Abuja-Kaduna train derailment at Asham station has revealed that poor maintenance and a faulty track switch were key factors behind the incident. According to the preliminary findings, several sleepers at the station had been damaged in the previous incident, were only patched instead of being properly repaired. Investigators also found that the automatic switch mechanism at the station's crossing point was unserviceable at the time of the derailment, which is the second to occur at the same station within 13 months. The report also noted that personnel of the Nigerian Railway Corporation had received only initial training with no formal refresher courses, raising further concerns about safety standards and preparedness. While 21 passengers sustained injuries in the accident that occurred on August 26, 2025, there were no fatalities among the 618 people on board the train. Former Minister of Sport Suleiman Dalong has accused the government of giving terrorist celebrity treatment at a peace meeting while leaving ordinary Nigerians defenseless against attacks. In a post on his Facebook page on Wednesday titled "Beyond State Police, the Urgent Case for Citizens' Rights to Bear Arms," Dalong said Nigeria's centralized security system had collapsed, exposing citizens to bandits, terrorists, and violent criminals armed with sophisticated weapons. He argued that while criminals openly flaunt weapons at government-sponsored peace meetings in the presence of security agencies, ordinary citizens face arrest and persecution for keeping even basic tools for self-defense. The former minister called for a comprehensive constitutional amendment to allow for the creation of state, local government, and community police, as well as the recognition of citizens' rights to legally bear arms for self-defense, stressing that Nigeria must adopt a layered policing structure similar to that of the United States to enhance security and restore public trust. The Anambra State Police Command has restated its commitment to protecting the rights and dignity of all residents, warning against enforcement of caste-based discriminations, such as the Osu practice. The Police Procurations Officer Tochukwu Ikenga, who issued a warning on Wednesday, emphasized that denying individuals their rights on account of caste amounts to a gross violation of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as well as extant anti-discrimination laws. Ikenga noted that no citizen shall be subjected to any form of discrimination on the basis of community, ethnic group, place of origin, sex, religion, or circumstance of birth, stressed that Nigeria is governed by the rule of law, not oppressive traditions, the one that anyone found culpable of enforcing caste-based discrimination will face the full weight of the law. The Osu caste system is an age-long practice among some Igbo communities where individuals designated as Osu are considered outcasts, historically dedicated to deities and thereby regarded as socially inferior. Those labeled as Osu have traditionally faced stigma, exclusion from communal leadership roles, and in extreme cases, rejection in marriage alliances with a so-called freeborn or wadiala. Though widely condemned by rights groups, religious bodies, and modern Igbo leaders, remnants of a practice still persist in some communities, manifesting in marital restrictions, ostracism, and subtle social segregation. Residents and motorists have expressed frustration over the deplorable condition of the Aba-Opobo-Azumeni Road in Aba, Abia State. The road, which is a federal road, serves as a link that connects some parts of Akwa Ibom State to Aba, Abia State, and have worsened as a result of vehicle activities, constant downpour, and lack of good drainage system over the years. Some motorists who spoke to Signature TV said they will no longer access the road due to its deplorable conditions, as heavy-duty vehicles keep falling and a good number of businesses closing shop due to the dilapidated state of the road.
I applied this road almost on daily basis, and the road is so discouraging. It's so bad to the extent that even my bike, almost every week, I used to take it to the mechanic. So I visit for the Kenyan finder. Most of them complain on the like if rain should fall now, and the rain fall, the price will increase. So the price of this road determines the amount of rainfall. If rain fall, they will now apply sometimes from potential to about 500 now. Sometimes 1,700, 800, depending the level of the rent. So we are pleading if the government can just come to our aid, can just visit the road, because the road is giving us, even with the private that doesn't give us a headache. Because me myself, I'm coming from Jubilee now, I'm going to mechanic now. Because because of this road. So I also get that other users as well. So many people are also complaining as well.
Now we feel very, very bad, honestly. It is now damage we suffered a lot, especially my middle road, most of the are also that side, and the commerces are crying every day. And due to the transport fare, are 500. Sometimes I feel pity for all those commerces. Time of what they are passing, it's not our fault.
Now, as I get money to do, my ticket is spoiled every time. I do the change. So my ticket, I do the change, and I do this, the work orders. What I think that government can help us is to come work the roads and do gutter. Because especially the two way road is gutter. If they just do gutter for this road, good road, the road today good. Travel. Not easy for us.
So what do you want the government to do?
We need government to work this road so that we can have a better road for this area.
And they feel bad. Like example, like now you get 50K for this road, you go add 30,000 of working of your machine. It's very bad. But our government is trying, but let's try more. Not to slow down, not to be the road. Like that, now the only thing we need.
Thank you.
Work was recently done by the Obingwa Local Government Council, but residents of Ahere hope for proper reconstruction by the federal government. The Yobe state government has threatened to revoke shops and stalls allocated to traders in the newly constructed modern markets in Damaturu, Gashua and Unguru, following traders' reluctance to move into the facilities. Governor May Buni issued the warning during the distribution of grains to vulnerable households in Damaturu, the state capital, expressing his concern that huge investment had been made to provide the modern markets in order to boost business activities and give traders a more dignified and secure environment. Buni said that despite the opportunities offered, many traders have refused to relocate, citing high rent and fears of losing existing customers due to the new market locations. He added that the government will not allow valuable public resources to waste. While people needed opportunities, the state government said the initiative was part of efforts to enhance commerce and improve standards of trading in Yobe. Members of the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association, PENGASSN, and the Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, PENG, have opposed an alleged plan by the federal government to sell off some of its stakes in the joint ventures JVS with international oil companies operating in the country. Unions made their stand known at a joint news conference in Abuja, where they maintained that selling of those stakes would not only put the country's oil sector in the hands of foreigners and private individuals, but depletes government's efforts to defend the naira at the foreign exchange market. PENGASSN President Festus Osifo and his Nupeng counterpart Williams Akborea accused the Ministry of Finance of attempting to remove the Ministry of Petroleum from joint ownership of Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. He noted that the proposed amendments of the Petroleum Industry Act will strip NNPCL of its core national role, scare away investors, and send negative signals about Nigeria's policy consistency. The latest controversy follows President Bola Tinubu's directive last month for reassessment of a Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited's 30% management fee and 30% frontier exploration deduction under the Petroleum Industry Act. For more on business news is next.
The Central Bank of Nigeria has lowered its key interest rate to 27%, a 50 basis point cut from the previous 27.5%. This marks the first rate reduction in 5 years. According to the central bank, the move is designed to stimulate growth and encourage foreign investment inflows, with expectations of attracting up to $1 billion monthly. Analysts say the decision reflects efforts to balance monetary tightening with the need to ease borrowing costs for businesses and households. The CBN maintains that the cut will not derail its fight against inflation, but instead position the economy for stronger recovery in the months ahead. Nigeria's diesel business is fast losing ground as natural gas emerges the cleaner and cheaper alternative. With over 200 trillion cubic feet of gas reserves, experts say industries converting generators to dual-fuel systems are saving 60 to 80% on fuel costs, with conversion expenses recovered within months. Case studies show factories and transport fleets already cutting bills significantly through compressed natural gas and liquefied natural gas. However, infrastructure remains a challenge, with fewer than 15 CNG stations nationwide compared to over 30,000 petrol and diesel outlets. Stakeholders are urging government incentives, financing support, and stronger public awareness to drive the transition. Vice President Kashim Shettima says Nigeria is targeting a minimum of 7% annual economic growth. He made the announcement on Tuesday while representing President Bola Tinubu at the 80th United Nations General Assembly in New York. Shettima explained that the target will be driven by macroeconomic stability, improved productivity, and strategic investment in infrastructure, healthcare, agriculture, and education. He added that the government's Renewed Hope agenda provides the framework to achieve these goals. The vice president also met with international partners, including Namibia, to strengthen bilateral relations and attract investment. Shettima stressed that global collaboration and private sector participation are critical if Nigeria is to reach its growth ambitions and secure sustainable development. The Nigerian Ports Authority has pledged to deliver a globally competitive, digitally driven port system. Managing Director Abubakar Dansoho made the announcement at the United Nations General Assembly. He announced that the Port Community System, an electronic platform linking all port stakeholders, will be launched by the first quarter of 2026 to ensure paperless transactions and faster cargo clearance. Already, digital reforms are showing results, with non-oil exports rising by 19.6% in the first half of 2025. Other measures introduced include electronic barrier systems, truck call-up management, and joint boarding apps. Dansoho also highlighted sustainability plans such as improving barge and rail connectivity and piloting emission reduction projects at Lekki Port. He stressed that these gaps will position Nigeria's ports to compete with the best globally. And that's business news on Global News. In Abuja, I am Thompson Native.
Still to come, China's Zhengzhou 20 crew gear for fourth spacewalk. Multiple people killed, wounded, in shooting at Dallas ice-filled office, officials say. Stay with us.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
Malawi's President Lazarus Chakwera considered defeat Wednesday in last week's election, saying it's clear that his rival, Peter Mutharika, had an insurmountable lead. The former pastor took power in 2020 elections when he defeated the then President Mutharika, constitutional law expert from the Democratic Progressive Party. In a broadcast to the nation, Chakwera said he called Professor Mutharika a few minutes ago to wish him well, just hours before the election authority was due to announce the final result of the September 16 election. A dire state of economy dominated the election in a small southern African country, with critics accusing Chakwera of mismanagement and indecisiveness, and also failing to tackle corruption and deliver on promises to create jobs. During his term, costs soared in the agriculture-dependent and rural nation, with inflation reaching 33%, and the price of staple food maize and fertilizer jumping, a key talking point at the poll. He assured of his commitment to a peaceful transfer of power, noting that many of those who supported his campaign for re-election will be disappointed. A Spanish military jet with Defense Minister Margarita Robles on board experienced a GPS disturbance early on Wednesday as it flew near Russia's Kaliningrad enclave on its way to Lithuania. As well as Robles, the plane was carrying relatives of Spanish airmen who form part of a NATO air defense mission on its eastern flank. The mission was launched earlier this month after Poland shot down drones that violated its airspace. Spanish contingent known as the Vickers mission from the Lithuanian word for wolf last week intercepted 8 Russian aircraft operating over the Baltic Sea, Spain's defense ministry said on Wednesday. During Robles' visit to the Salislau Air Base, she held a joint news conference following a bilateral meeting with her Lithuanian counterpart, Dovil Sakalian.
Russia's aggression in Ukraine is unacceptable, and so are the threats anywhere, neither in Europe nor in the world. We believe it is essential to uphold the right for all of us to move around and fly freely across European territory without there being, as we experienced this very morning, interference from someone we all know. But in no case will they break the will of Spain, nor of any of the countries of the Atlantic Alliance, to keep working for peace and living together in peace. There is a real threat. We have suffered that interference. We were using a military GPS, and we are obviously very aware of it. That is why we are so committed to the pursuit of peace.
Mi kollegor säger att during the flight into Lithuania, there were attempts to block their aircraft's GPS signal. This is another illustration that Russia is unable to does not uphold any rules, does not carry damage it may cause, and even if the systems of military aircraft are more resilient and they could not block its GPS signal.
The incident follows another in which the GPS system of a plane carrying European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen was jammed while en route to Bulgaria on August 31. European Union spokesperson said Bulgarian authorities suspected the incident was due to interference by Russia. Most modern airliners have sensors and sources to determine their positioning, in addition to GPS, meaning they can fly if there is interference. The Chenzhou 20 crew members who are currently aboard China's space station will conduct a 4th round of extra-vehicle activities within the next few days, the China Manned Space Agency announced on Wednesday. Since the completion of their 3rd extra-vehicle activity on August 15, the 3 astronauts, Chen Dong, Cheng Zhongrui, and Wang Jie, have been making headway in experimental missions in areas such as space life sciences, human research, microgravity, physics, and new space technology. The CMSA noted that a new crew has also conducted in-orbit training programs and a system-wide pressure emergency drills while continuously monitoring the station's environment, conducting equipment inspections and maintenance. And managing inventory and transfers, the space station complex is operating smoothly, and the 3 crew members are in good health and fully prepared for the 4th upcoming extravehicular activities, according to the agency. A professor and researcher of interactive arts and technology at Simon Fraser University in Vancouver, British Columbia, Steve DePaola, was on stage with a fully interactive talking AI on stage during class. Expressive AI bot called Kia aims to engage in real-time discussions, debate complex topics, and explore questions alongside our creator, Steve DePaola.
So here in my research lab, we use these bots for a number of AI for social good, and they don't always have to be humans. We've done things like animals, like educating people on how whales move and things like that. So the notion of bringing that into this intro class is both a performative notion that is just fun to talk to it, but it's also a way for the class to see a very high-end system and deal with all. It can be a crutch to use, and we haven't figured out a way to grade people, so to speak, or tell them what they can and cannot do. So you have some teachers saying, no, you can only do it on paper and you can't use an AI at all, which is not training people for the future, versus this other way of teaching students how to use it correctly at the right level. And we really are struggling within this world in general, where we're letting these computer scientists do all the AI stuff, and then sometimes the ethicists are way over somewhere else, not being practical. And here at SFU, we're very good about putting that together. In some ways, that's what the class is about. We have a little bit of everybody in our class really thinking through this.
It designed a visualization of the bot as a British black woman and refers to her with she and her pronouns. DePaola has helped design other AI bots for use in other SFU departments, including the School of Environmental Science and School of Medicine, and sees the potential for its greater good within the higher education sphere. DePaola cautions against widely accepting what information AI provides to humans is completely accurate, and understand the ethics of AI usage can be complicated. It told newsmen that SFU has embraced an interdisciplinary approach to developing AI at university, pulling ethicists into the conversation with computer scientists, and hopes that other technologies will aim to make AI open-sourced and more accessible to everyone. As the course continues through the rest of the year and beyond, Kia's knowledge will grow. She'll continue to assist DePaola and his class in understanding the future of artificial intelligence. Multiple people were wounded and killed in a shooting on Wednesday at the Federal Immigration and Customs Enforcement Field Office in Dallas. The shooter was killed after a self-inflicted gunshot wound, federal officials said. Police responded to reports of a shooting at the office in northwest Dallas at about 7:30 a.m. local time. Local media reported the shooter was found dead on the roof of a nearby building. Local ABC affiliate WFAA reported, citing sources. A spokesperson for ICE did not immediately respond to inquiries from the Dallas police. The Dallas police also did not immediately return calls or emails seeking comment. When Greek firefighters investigated the cause of a deadly wildfire near the Athens Riviera in August, they found a familiar culprit. A loose power cable whose sparks were blown across a field of dry grass in a windstorm. Investigators' reports said a cable near the town of Karetia showed signs of oxidation and improper maintenance. Within hours, the blazes killed one person and burned 4,000 hectares of land, butchering tourist beaches south of the capital.
It was very fast. Before I got out the door to douse the adjacent plot with water, it had already burned the grass there. The fire had already gone. We did not catch it. It went to the other side and started going up the mountain. The firefighters managed to catch some of it. A newly built house was burned. Thank God we survived.
We are condemned every year to live through the same story. Municipal and regional officials and the fire brigade may have taken all the measures, only to find that a fire has started in a specific inaccessible spot which we can't deal with. People's lives are endangered, the environment is destroyed, property is destroyed, and we don't have the power to keep starting from square one again every time, and to put the citizens through this ordeal.
From last year, the data shows, and comes after years of underinvestment in the power grid during Greece's 2009-2018 debt crisis. It adds to the risk posed by climate change, which has made summers hotter and drier, and wildfires more destructive, costing the state billions of euros. The government blames the problem on a lack of investment during the debt crisis before it came to power in 2019. That cumulatively left a huge gap, which they call upon to fill. Deputy Energy Minister Nikos Taufas told Parliament this month. China's Hong Kong and Macau special administrative regions raised typhoon signals to their highest levels early on Wednesday as Super Typhoon Ragasa approached the Pearl River Delta, triggering widespread transport suspensions, school closures, and emergency operations. The Hong Kong Observatory hoisted the hurricane signal number 10 at 0240 Wednesday, indicating sustained winds of at least 118 kilometers per hour, with gusts exceeding 220 kilometers per hour. Macau's Geophysical and Meteorological Bureau followed suit at 0530 Wednesday, issuing its highest warning, the number 10 signal. Typhoon Ragasa, which earlier prompted number 8 warnings on Tuesday afternoon and brought torrential rain and fierce winds to both regions, is expected to pass within 100 kilometers south of Hong Kong during Wednesday morning. Authorities have warned of severe storm surges comparable to 2017's Hato and 2018's Hangrut. Hong Kong's MTR has suspended all outdoor rail services, with underground sections operating minimally. All bus and tram services have also been suspended. High-speed rail services between West Kowloon and mainland stations have been called off through Wednesday. In Macau, all sea crossings and 4 cross-sea bridges, including the Hong Kong Zhuhai-Macau Bridge, were closed by late Tuesday. Public departments also suspended the operations. Foreign Minister Johann Wadephol told Parliament Germany is committed to its support for the United Nations, and Berlin will not withdraw finances, as the United States of America is unfortunately doing in some areas. Wadephol stressed the need for a more stable, secure and peaceful world, saying resources for foreign policy were not a luxury but an investment in peace. Reiterated Germany's ambitions for a non-permanent seat on the UN Security Council in 2027 and 28 because they are convinced they belong at the table. Wadephol was speaking during a one-day trip to Berlin hours after he had arrived from the UN in New York, to where he will return later in the day. Next is sports news.
Welcome to Sports News on Signature TV. And let's begin with boxing, where Eddie Hearn has invited an offer from Nigerian promoter Dr. Ezekiel Adamu. He has, however, revealed that Ghana is currently leading the chase to land Anthony Joshua's first ever fight in Africa. It is now a year since two-time world heavyweight champion AJ last boxed, when he was knocked out in the 5th round of his dramatic Wembley Stadium showdown with Daniel Dubois. It is now increasingly unlikely that the 35-year-old will box before the end of 2025, but his promoter Eddie Hearn says Joshua will definitely return at some point in the first quarter of 2026. But Hearn says there are yet to open talks with Adamu about the possibility, and says Nigeria's West African rivals Ghana are ahead of them in the queue after presenting a very interesting offer. In football, Nigeria's Flying Eagles rounded off their FIFA Under-20 World Cup preparations on a high with a commanding 3-1 victory over Australia in a friendly match played at the Complejo Deportivo Ruca Mapu in Santiago, Chile. Goals from Tahir Magana, Osea Achihi, and Charles Agada sealed the win for Aliou Zubairu's men, boosting their confidence ahead of the global showpiece. The Flying Eagles will kick off their World Cup campaign against Norway on Monday, September the 29th at the Estadio Fiscal in Talca. They will then face Saudi Arabia on October the 2nd before rounding off their group stage fixtures against Colombia on October the 5th. Al Ittihad advanced to the round of 16 of the King's Cup with a 1-0 win over Al Welda on September 23rd. Al Ittihad's only goal came when forward Saleh Al-Shahiri scored from the mark in the 9th minute. However, Jeddah-based club dominated throughout, controlling the ball for 64% of the match. Al Ittihad had 8 shots on target compared to 3 by their second division opponents. They were hungry for a second goal throughout the match, but were thwarted by Al Welda goalkeeper Abdullah Al-Oashia, who helped hold them to a single goal, which is all they need to advance in the end. Al Nasser trashed Jeddah 4-0 to advance to the round of 16 of the King's Cup on September the 23rd. The Riyadh-based side had no problems dismantling their second division opponents even without their star player Cristiano Ronaldo, who rested on the bench. Al Nasser opened the scoring early in the first half when a boot from Angelo went off a defender and into the net just 8 minutes into play. Second half goals by Wesley, Joao Felix and Mohamed Simakan sealed the home team's defeat as Al Nasser marched to a 4-0 win. And that's the size of the package of sports news on Signature TV. I am Raymond Ken Bata.
Evicted BB Niger housemate Morgan confirms that her American girlfriend called organizers to evict her from the show. Music star and entrepreneur Oluwatosin Ajibade reveals how she lost 19 million naira in diesel investment at 19. Correspondent Quinette Wokunta has more in entertainment news.
This is entertainment news. Evicted Big Brother Naija housemate Bright Morgan has confirmed that his American girlfriend contacted the organizers of the reality show to evict him from the show, claiming he had a health challenge. He disclosed that the organizers contacted his brother, who then debunked the girlfriend's claim. He explained that if he had a problem, he would have taken a voluntary exit from the show. Morgan stated this in a post-eviction interview on Tuesday. Nigerian music star and entrepreneur Oluwatosin Ajibade, popularly known as Mr. Easy, has revealed how a business misstep in his teenage years cost him millions of naira and almost crushed his entrepreneurial drive. Speaking in a recent podcast interview, the legalized crooner recalled losing about 19 million in a collapsed diesel supply deal when he was 19. He explained that he had borrowed money from his uncle, a medical doctor, and his wife in Nigeria to finance the venture, which at the time seemed like a secure investment. According to him, the plan was to purchase diesel and supply it to clients, including telecom giant MTN. Mr. Easy stated that, like many young entrepreneurs then, he relied on agents at Lagos Apapa Port to source the product, since direct access to tank farms required bulk allocations. However, he recounted that trouble began when the government unexpectedly deregulated fuel prices, a move that caused diesel prices to crash, leaving him and his partner with stock that quickly lost value. The funds remained stuck for months, and the anticipated MTN deal eventually fell through. The singer, who has since built a career as both a global Afrobeat sensation and a successful investor, said the episode remains a reminder of how failure can become the foundation of lasting success. A retrospective celebrating half a century of Giorgio Armani's work kicked off at a Milan museum on Wednesday, showcasing more than 100 creations, including red dresses and suits that define the legendary Italian designer's understated elegance. Armani, known for the fashion world as King Giorgio, died earlier this month at the age of 91 in Milan, a city which he had a deep personal and professional connection. The exhibition, which starts during Milan Fashion Week and runs through January, was curated with Armani's direct input and coincides with the label's 50th anniversary. It sets the tone for a week that blends mourning with celebration, culminating in a runway show of Armani's spring collection on Sunday, September 28th evening at the Birari Arts Museum, where the exhibition is also being held. Garments including striking red and silver dresses are set among Italian art masterpieces from the middle age of the 19th century. The retrospective marks the end of an era and the beginning of a new chapter from the iconic brand. And that's the entertainment news. I am Quinette Wokunta for Signature TV.
And that's the news this hour. I am Barikumo Adam. Thank you very much for watching.
Signature TV. News in your pocket. Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
We are local.
The international community is observing the
Why the main market is in chaos. People are...
We are national.
Those in support of this motion as amended, say aye. Aye. We have taken it to by default.
We are international.
Israeli airstrikes.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment.
Signature TV. News in your pocket.
Bright and early as the day breaks, as the newspaper headlines trail the stories that shape the day. We at Signature TV trail the headlines that trail the day. We interrogate the headlines. We analyze the stories that make the headlines.
Why is overrated, and they even overrated themselves, and when you go see it, they are insensitive of some Nigerian children who have never had what they call CBT.
With passion and emotion, we drive the conversation to change a narrative.
Let nobody be deceived by Nigerian high level of performing in agriculture export. We are still where we are.
Newspaper review on Signature TV every morning on Signature Morning, weekdays, and Signature New Day, weekends. Newspaper review on Signature TV. We do not just review the headlines, we make the headlines relevant to our daily lives.
Signature TV. News in your pocket.
Abuja, stand up, cause Shalimar's coming to town.
We are Shalimar. We will be performing all of our hit songs at our show at the International Conference Center in Abuja on October 4th.
Powered by Classic FM, the station that plays every song you know.
Make that move right now, baby.
Tickets are also available online at www.tix.africa/Shalimar. So make that move and celebrate this year's Independence Day like never before. 4th of October at the International Conference Center with Shalimar. Cause we'll be jamming over and over again.
Signature TV. News in your pocket.
It's a pleasure to have you join us this morning. Today is Wednesday, the 24th day of September 2025. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. You're watching Signature Morning on Signature TV. Lillian.
Good morning, Ute.
Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Well, we're seeing that Natasha resumes at Senate. She's back after her 6-month suspension.
Yes, her office was unsealed yesterday. I think it's a great step for her.
Finally, finally we can rest from the constant Natasha this, Natasha that on the papers and the likes. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I am Uchenna Chindi Oluwa.
And I am Lillian Wale. Coming up next is our newspaper headlines and review this morning. Do stay with us. And now we're ready for our newspaper headlines. And coming from the Punch newspaper, 8.41 trillion naira oil theft drains economy, fuels investors' doubts. Experts fault lack of arrest, prosecutions in 4 years, I-0 oil theft. Regulator hails lowest losses in 16 years amid reservations by analysts.
And on page 3, Natasha resumes at Senate, calls Ababio dictator. 411% revenue rise won't stop FG borrowing, says FIRS on page 2.
And on page 21, CBN lowers interest rates, OPS demands credit relief. And about strike, SSANU and NASU extend ultimatum, that's on page 7.
Now on page 29, Remi Tinubu says 20 billion naira library fundraiser not for 2027. And we have arms racketeering, 3 soldiers court-martialed, jailed for life.
Lagos cop, woman killed as container crushes tricycle. Pengasan Lupen rejects government's plan to sell assets.
Now on the Daily Independent newspaper, we have telecom users express frustration over high data voice costs.
CBN confirms 14 banks have met new capital requirements. And Tinubu is one-term president. Mandate ends in 2027, says ADC.
Pengasan rejects FG's planned sale of JV oil assets. Says sale may mortgage future of coming generations. Warn against alleged plan to amend PIA.
And on the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, business leaders express hope as CBN cuts interest rate to 27%. It's a step towards building more resilient, growth-oriented economy, CPPE says. NECA DG urges strategic easing to boost growth.
Ekiti 2026, I have confidence in our party, says Oyebanji. Alleged land grabbing. Ogun government files charges against 2 traditional rulers, others.
And on health matters, uncontrolled high blood pressure puts over 1 billion people to risk, says WHO.
Now on the Vanguard newspaper, we have 14 banks fully meet new capital requirements, says CBN. CBN reduces interest rates to 27%. External reserves hits $43 billion. NECA demands reforms to ease cost of living crisis. CBN's easing of credit conditions a welcome, timely intervention, says CPPE.
PFN to government, fix economy and corruption, empower citizens. Tinubu Atiku in fierce battle for Buhari's Northern Bloc. And on insecurity, nursing mom abducted, 3 soldiers jailed for selling arms to terrorists.
Now, on the Daily Trust newspaper, unions reject sale of oil and gas assets.
Cut interest rate further, economists tell central bank. And Remi Tinubu raises 20 billion naira for library project.
Soldiers bag life jail for selling arms to terrorists. And policeman, 5 others killed in Lagos Yobe road crashes.
And Saudi Grand Mufti dies at 82. And yes, that is the much we can take on our newspaper headlines this morning. You're welcome. Thank you so much, Mr. Chris, as usual, for joining us to do our reading.
Good morning, Lillian. Good morning, Uche.
Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, the world, and all the people who have joined us this morning.
Good
God
morning.
bless you. We thank God for another day. Yes, we're here for another day of newspaper review on Signature TV. So I expect the ladies to take the first shot. They say ladies first.
Yes, please. Okay. On the Punch newspaper, we're seeing that 8.41 trillion naira oil theft. Oil theft drains economy, fuels investors' doubts.
A Punch, as usual, has come with a punchy thing. But despite how punchy the headline is, we all know the fact. We know the fact that no one goes sowing seeds with squirrel in his or her bag. Nigeria is blessed by God. And the people of Nigeria have turned the blessing of God into a curse for themselves. If God gives you crude oil, you steal all that you have managed to explore. I'm sure if the colonial masters or the Igbo people didn't come to help us strike oil in Nigeria, we probably would have been still doing farming and all that. But since Nigeria found oil, they forgot everything about their essence and went into oil. But then along the line, like the Bible says, while men were asleep, the devil, they said the enemy went to sow tar in the man's millet farm. Whoever sowed the tar of corruption in Nigeria oil and gas have done Nigeria great harm. Then the harm that Nigerians are doing to themselves by conniving with international criminal gangs to steal our oil, sell it, go back there, buy the refined one, bring it back here, and few Nigerians are making money every day, and any effort to think about touching that area, they will fight back. 8.4 trillion oil theft. So, like I always say, the proverb of bone and silence. If you use 1 million to go and carve your teeth, how much will you get when you smile? If Nigeria has lost 8.41 trillion in oil theft, how much have they made selling the one they didn't thief? And by the way, we only hear oil theft. The one that they didn't thief and they managed to sell as crude oil, where is the money? How much? How much trillion liters? How do they measure? Nigerians do not know whether they measure the crude oil in gallons, in liters, I don't know. So how much do we have left every day after the oil theft? What do Nigerian establishment do with that? So somebody said they will leave their own fault, and they were talking about the fault of Mokoye. They leave the main issue, the substance, and they're pursuing the shadow. How can you, after eating, you did not find yourself belly full with food? Then you start using toothpick to pick the one in your teeth to belly full you. If the crude oil in Nigeria strike and explore and bring out of the soil of Nigeria every day, it's not enough for us. We keep counting the ones that have been stolen. And by the way, who steals? You know, there are so many things. There are so many things that Nigerians. There are so many things Nigerians are not getting right. They will tell us about the one stolen. They won't tell us about the one that were not stolen that's left. and they do not account, you are not accounting for the one that is left in the house, not stolen. So why are we deceiving ourselves as a nation? We gather ourselves together every day to deceive ourselves. Something is wrong. And that's why I'm worried. You know?
We're seeing that Natasha returns to Senate. On the Punch, you have calls Akpabio dictator. On another, you have says vows not to apologize, and you know there are different other.
I think the newspapers are also helped to sensationalize the whole issue. The fact that Natasha has returned, thanks to Senate, that is at least the 10th Senate have achieved something. They've actually obeyed their rule because they were the people who suspended Natasha, and 6 months after, they allowed Natasha to come back. But when they allowed the media to begin to sensationalize everything, even Natasha coughed, they called this, and they called this person this, called this person this. I don't know. But since I am here to review what is happening in our headlines, both the people who are writing the story and the person they are writing for are now sharing this blame. If because what are they achieving to escalate all this for now? And then, by the way, I've been on the side of Natasha since this issue started. I am sure she shouldn't overdo things any longer. You know, we are objective and care. What is good for the woman who has belly is also good for the man who gave her belly. And if you are a mushroom, a forest that avoids the basket, should not grow mushroom. So Natasha, as far as she wants her respect and her human right respected, she shouldn't by any way overuse her own right to offend other people. That's the way you do things, you find out you're overdoing it. I think if anything is coming up again from Natasha Akpoti, the senator, she may at this point overdoing it. And she should know that when this crowd that gathered to clap for you, and I learned there was an unconfirmed story that even their supporters followed they had to go and resume. Yeah. For what? What are they trying to achieve? And they were dispersed with tear gas. What? What for? Now, the supporters, are they going to follow her to Senate chambers thereafter? The Nigerians, I don't know, we overdo things at times. We have, if it's achieving, she's not even achieving. The Senate gave her suspension and recalled her back. If there are outstanding issues, they should settle. You don't need to carry followers. And they should watch her mouth. Because they were saying that the bed has not, a small bird is trying to perch on a tree. The bird has not perched. And it has deposited 10 feet height of sheet. So what will that bird do when she eventually perch? Natasha Akpoti, the senator, distinguished senator of the Kogi Central, should watch her steps henceforth. She should allow people clapping and shouting for her to mislead her any further, because this fight doesn't lead anybody. After 6 months, Kogi Central have lost representation in the affairs of Nigeria. So whatever they would have gained, they didn't get. Whatever they would have known and be brought to them, you know, of course, much is not coming out of anyway. I don't think they missed much. But then, by the way, assuming they are missing much, then somebody should not escalate to continuously push her to start making unnecessary statements to the media. She will leave it. The fight is enough. She was not sent there by Kogi Central to keep to fight and fight and fight. Because the last duty of a man, you remember I said it here many times, is to fight, to live, to tell the story of the war. Not to die fighting, because you will only come to your tomb and put an epitaph. Here lies the hero. So, what do you get? But if you come telling your own story, then you become a gather mouse, and people will call you the real hero.
All right, so moving forward, we're seeing on different newspaper that Nupeng Pengasan rejects FG's planned sale of JV oil assets.
I don't know why the Nupeng, you know, when you find a butterfly cling to a flower, that flower must be producing, what the butterfly needs. But the butterfly will not care whether the tree producing the flower and those things that butterfly will go to pick or the bees go to pick from the tree, whether it's paining. I'm sorry I will use this analogy. My father said that a body that is being carried on the back doesn't know that the journey is painful and far. And that also that the dog that somebody is also shitting to eat doesn't know that it pains the ass to shit. Nupeng, as far as they know, they cling to oil and gas. They don't know what is costing federal government. If federal government want to sell their refinery and oil assets, they should sell it if it's no more asset. Because Nupeng will cling on it. Just like NNPCL has been clinging on it for more than 30 years of docility and inactivity. But they are earning all their money. And the government will, imagine the golden egg gives that laid the golden egg, the government will go probably to agriculture and get money to invest in oil and for nothing. So why are we investing in refineries and all that didn't work? And the federal government is continuing sale of oil, and the pen said, for what reason? Selfishness. They've not come out to say nothing. Just like the pen hangs everywhere. If there's a modern refinery built by individuals, they will go there and hang. The people working in there must be in their union, so that they hold us to ransom at all points once they cough. Even the pen cough. Fuel, the first day they cough in Nigeria, fuel went back, we start paying transport 500% for a few hours until they call off this. That's what they want. And they think Nigerians were watching Nupeng. Federal government know what to do. Nupeng cannot stop federal government from deciding on what they do with their utility. Nupeng is only a union. And by the way, it's because Nigeria move fuel by road. If all the railways in Nigeria start working, then we'll have railing. They will go and start driving the train and so blocking the train from conveying oil, refined oil, petroleum product to all parts of Nigeria. It is Nigeria that went to fetch ant-infested firewood. He has brought Nupeng, Damang, this, Ipu woman, Ipu man, all those things to ask them as lizards for a visit. They are then really necessary to determine when the servants are determining what the Oga will do. That's Nigeria for you, a complex society. The union will decide the weather, and just for selfish reason. I think, like some people say, some oil facilities that in Nigeria are no more viable should be given away either for PPP to public-private partnership to see whether, instead of hanging on it for life, and we are suffering. Very soon, fuel, I was saying, the better they put fuel at 10,000 naira, if that's what make night, but it won't be enough. They will still chop the money and put 20. That's what all of them are running around. Fuel price cannot stabilize. They're accusing people selling fuel because part of what's making fuel not to work is this excess line of people hanging on before it gets to downstream. So before fuel leaves, for instance, Dangote plant to get to your, if it leaves Dangote plant at 500 naira, it gets to the consumer at 1,000 naira.
All right, Chris, let's look at another headline. On the Daily Independence, we are seeing telecom users express frustration over high data and voice costs.
Not just only high data and voice costs, drop calls, frustration. Everywhere you see, they have turned Nigerians into mad people. You will see, hello, people shouting around, walking around. They say, change your location. In 2025, after they've collected all the money and handed over their SIM cards that are not working, and we have NCC, the regulatory body. This is what they're telling us. How many times have NCC acted on the complaint of Nigerians on tariff hike and the ineffectiveness of the services? Before you know it, they will modern idea of hiking again. And the regulatory body will be complicit, and they will come and swear to Nigerians they don't know what's happening to us. I know that what makes a cocoyam to die is from the west, the uku, the root of cocoyam. Whatever tariff and telecom communication companies are doing in Nigeria, NCC, Nigerian Communication, whatever commission, is part of it. They are part of it. And we are complaining and they are smiling. Something is wrong. Because if it, for instance, they are part of it and they are not feeling this pain, something is wrong. If they are Nigerians, they are working in NCC, are part of Nigeria, they have relations, nuclear understanding, they have communities. Even if they are sealed their conscience with hot iron, this is what happened. Nobody is punishing them. We are paying for high data, for voice, and for high tariff for voice and data without getting services. We will start calling the name of telecom companies. They will come. We'll be sued. We'll be calling their names because it is wicked and insensitive. Because somebody said, if the FCC cannot protect the consumers of telecom services in Nigeria, we'll begin to protect ourselves. This is unacceptable and it's wickedness.
All right, before we go, 14 banks fully meet new capital requirement and CBN reduces interest rate to 27%.
For banks and for borrowers. The interest rate is for people who are into business and want to borrow. So at the level we talk, I am for the masses. For those capitalist chain of machineries that milk out people and they don't care, I'm not concerned what they do with themselves. If you want to reduce interest rate for them, they reduce person whenever chop, they go borrow money. Maybe when you get the one business you are doing. How many Nigerians are in business? When they make them to die, and some of them run away to the neighboring countries, they will start reducing. Why doing the first thing last? They will go back and beg all the pharmaceutical companies that are left Nigeria because of hard to do business in Nigeria situation to come back when they're reducing interest rate. For who? God bless them. They can. Why are they reducing it in the first place? If they know they are doing wonderfully well, why? Leave it at where it is. In fact, increase it. You are increasing taxes. You are increasing tariffs. You are increasing everything in Nigeria. You are reducing interest rate. Are you robbing Peter to pay Paul? What have you achieved? Like I keep saying, they're coming out with figures. How it touches us, that 240 million Nigerians, it's what I'm interested in. I don't care these Oyibo they are speaking, confusing everybody.
All right, thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Lillian. Thank you, Chair. Well, and we have come to the end, like you said. When you keep thanking me like this, I know time is up. So I know that God will bless all of you that I've watched this morning and bless my young ladies here who are my friends. And bless everybody, mostly Nigerians. But remember, blessing of God is for those who deserve to be blessed.
All right, don't go anywhere. We'll return shortly with more discussions and conversation on this signature morning.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
Bright and early as the day breaks, as the newspaper headlines trail the stories that shape the day, we at Signature TV trail the headlines that trail the day. We interrogate the headlines. We analyze the stories that make the headlines.
Why is overrated, and they even overrated themselves and went into CBT. They are insensitive of some Nigerian children who have never had what they call CBT.
With passion and emotion, we drive the conversation to change a narrative.
Let nobody be deceived by Nigerian high level of performing in agriculture export. We are still where we are.
Newspaper review on Signature TV every morning on Signature Morning, weekdays, and Signature New Day, weekends. Newspaper review on Signature TV. We do not just review the headlines, we make the headlines relevant to our daily lives.
With a population of about 36 million people, the Southeast is awash with stories. Every day on Southeast News, we tell the peculiar story of the Southeast and her people.
Our Southeast should be the Silicon Valley of Nigeria.
Their successes, achievements, and daily challenges. Do you have a Southeast story to share? Community achievements and challenges, completed and uncompleted projects, bad roads, water scarcity, erosion, flooding, insecurity, or even disagreements? Bring it on to Southeast News. On Southeast News, no story is too big or too small. Southeast News. Let's tell our story. Showing on Signature TV every weekday at 4 p.m. WAT, 1600 hours GMT.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
With a population of about 36 million people, the Southeast is awash with stories. Every day on Southeast News, we tell the peculiar story of the Southeast and her people.
Our Southeast should be the Silicon Valley of Nigeria.
Their successes, achievements, and daily challenges. Do you have a Southeast story to share? Community achievements and challenges, completed and uncompleted projects, bad roads, water scarcity, erosion, flooding, insecurity, or even disagreements? Bring it on to Southeast News. On Southeast News, no story is too big or too small. Southeast News. Let's tell our story. Showing on Signature TV every weekday at 4 p.m. WAT, 1600 hours GMT.
I am calling upon Ndi Igbo niile, wherever you are in Nigeria, to quickly go and take advantage of the voter registration exercise that is going on right now. Ejikwana ya gwu egwu. Go and get your card as quickly as possible. Secondly, I would like to call upon the federal government of Nigeria to quickly release Nnamdi Kanu. The government has no serious advantage in keeping him. It is important that the government ensures his safety and his welfare. And the government must allow him to go and get medical treatment as quickly as possible. The government must adopt a political solution to this situation. I do not believe that the government has any serious advantage in keeping him any further.
Yes, the role of nurses has actually evolved. Nursing has gone beyond having the nurse at the bedside to treat the patient, to having the nurse being in charge of a community. Like we train our nurses in community health, making them to realize that we are part of the community. The community need to feel us. And the community need to know what is around them, and they also need to know how to engage in a healthy living through health education. When we give them health education, we allow them to process it and have change behavior. And that change in behavior is evident that that health education has actually gotten them. And when they do that, you see them taking charge of their health, taking informed decisions, doing things that will involve that make them remain healthy. And also in the school, we have school health program. Before now, the school health program is not even noticed. We have the school health program where the nurse takes care of the school child, both ensuring that the learning condition is conducive, ensuring that that child is well prepared for academics, ensuring that that child has good nutrition that will make that child be healthy to receive learning. And also, we also go about engaging them in extracurricular activities, games, physical and health education, having them to do that. In those days, in my own time, we do this well. But now we have them go do play chess, do other things that will make the school child healthy.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Get plugged into the heartbeat of entertainment on The Hub, your ultimate show on eVibes. From trending stories and social media drama to top charting music, must-watch movies and exciting moments from the world of arts, we've got it all. Join us for unmissable conversations with your favorite entertainment personalities, plus fun segments every week.
So I should try harder, so...
Okay, I don't know that one.
Outfit of the day.
Oh, I don't do that. That's some Gen Z stuff.
Oh, now you say it's a Gen Z stuff.
It's everything you love about entertainment, served fresh every week at 1 p.m. with weekend repeats just in case you missed it. The Hub's on eVibes, where the vibes never stop. Only on Signature TV.
Health is more than a diagnosis. It's your lifestyle, your choices, and your future. Join us on Inside Health, your weekly deep dive into the stories, science, and solutions shaping your well-being. From expert interviews to real-life journeys of healing and hope, we cover it all.
One of the complications of cancer management or treatment is they have some of them at one point in time, you see them having anemia. Okay, so you see them at times being transfused. But at the same time, you come in with a diet.
Nutrition, mental health, innovations in medicine, fitness, and everyday wellness. Whether you're managing a condition, staying informed, or just living your best life, Inside Health is your trusted guide.
I'm Tigiti Agorum, and I'll be with you every week on Inside Health, only on Signature TV.
With a population of about 36 million people, the Southeast is awash with stories. Every day on Southeast News, we tell the peculiar story of the Southeast and her people.
Our Southeast should be the Silicon Valley of Nigeria.
Their successes, achievements, and daily challenges. Do you have a Southeast story to share? Community achievements and challenges, completed and uncompleted projects, bad roads, water scarcity, erosion, flooding, insecurity, or even disagreements? Bring it on to Southeast News. On Southeast News, no story is too big or too small. Southeast News. Let's tell our story. Showing on Signature TV every weekday at 4 p.m. WAT, 1600 hours GMT.
This is entertainment news. Nigerian Afrobeat star Adekunle Gold on Monday graced the red carpet at the 69th Ballon d'Or ceremony held at the Théâtre du Châtelet in Paris. Dressed in a sleek black tuxedo, he joined global football stars at one of the sport's most prestigious nights, where PSG's Ousmane Dembele and Barcelona's Lamine Yamal were top contenders for the award. Gold was seen exchanging pleasantries with Ballon d'Or nominee and Liverpool captain Virgil van Dijk. His appearance continues Afrobeat's growing global influence following Rema's groundbreaking performance at the 2023 ceremony. Prior to the event, Adekunle Gold performed at the Gumball 3000 rally. In Bucharest, Romania, entertaining over 200,000 fans. He is currently preparing to release his 6th studio album, Fuji, on October 3rd, 2025, as tribute to Yoruba culture and the traditional Fuji music that shaped his sound. Christopher Nolan, known for his reserved public image and complex genre-defying films, has taken on a new role beyond the director's chair. On Saturday, he was elected president of the Director Guild of America, the union representing over 19,500 professionals in film, television, and new media. Nolan's appointment comes at a transformative time for Hollywood, as the industry grapples with the rise of artificial intelligence, evolving relationships between studios and streaming platforms, and ongoing debates over creative rights. Long admired for his ability to shape fictional worlds, Nolan now steps into a real-world leadership role, helping to guide the future of the entertainment industry rather than a career shift. This marks an expansion of his influence, positioning him as a key advocate for directors and creatives navigating a rapidly changing landscape. In an interesting development reported by Billboard, an AI-generated artist by the Monica Xani Monet was signed by Hollywood Media in a deal reported to be worth $3 million. Writer Talisha Nikki Jones, a poet and designer, is behind the songwriting and used the AI platform Suno to create the rest of the music after writing the lyrics. The AI-generated artist Xania Monet records deal follows the success of her song Let's Go, Let's Go, which debuted at number 25 on the Emerging Talent list and reached number 21 on the Hot Gospel Songs. The record deal has generated reactions from observers, including Grammy-nominated singer Kehlani, who took to TikTok to share that she doesn't respect it. The signing is the latest controversy to rock the global music industry, which is still grappling with how artificial intelligence will change the industry, especially in terms of artist prioritization. This is not the first time AI artist has been signed. In 2022, Capitol Records reportedly signed an AI-generated rapper, FN Maker, a virtual rapper with an impressive 10 million TikTok followers, earning it the status of TikTok's top virtual being. Recently, music streaming service Deezer revealed that around 30,000 tracks created, at least partially with AI, are added to the platform every day. This accounts for 28% of songs uploaded to the platform. And that's the entertainment news. I am Queenette Mukunta for Signature TV.
Registration is essential to control certain things. So if you volunteer to be a limited liability company, you cannot be feeding, from the company, defrauding the company, using the company to cheat people. That's one of the essence of registration. You pay tax to government, and CAC is the body that will tell you, go and pay, you have not paid. If you don't pay, you will not, your books, returns, what is when you update your books, annual returns will not be accepted, or even you pay in arrears. But with reference to POS and CAC, CAC says you must register. They have that authority. For you to do a business, you must register. So it is not that they are fighting. They can't fight because that one is performing his duty. If you are negligent, if you refuse to obey or respect him, it doesn't mean you are fighting. So what I'm saying is that if CAC says you should register, you register. Then there are some that will pay what they call income tax. There are people who pay these other aspects of tax, that is company tax. So I'm CEO and co. Doesn't elevate my status so that to the federal government, so I'll be paying to CAC. I'm supposed to pay to the Board of Internal Revenue as an individual. Then if they say the state now approves a token for all these people who are doing petty trading, then it's their law.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
You remember what happened when the president came in and removed subsidy? Though we've not gotten to that point. But all these things are accumulation of poor preparations. You see, if you are going into anybody that wants to drive will first of all learn to drive. If you want to do anything, you learn it. But in Nigeria, you learn by just name. And you run into the system. And when your car breaks down, you look for the best mechanic, not minding the tribe, not minding the religion. But Nigeria is sick. Nigeria is like a car with a lot of, but we keep on hiring the worst people on the basis of tribe and religion sentiments. How will it work? Look at NNPC. Even as we talk, we've been complaining that it needs total overhauling. Because the people there do not show any sign, have the capacity to run the system. Even after removing fare subsidy, we've not gone out from. In fact, it's like we are fast running back to what we left before. You remember years back, we stopped experiencing queues in filling stations. Now it's coming back, and coming back with speed. As we talk, there is no PMS price in Nigeria. You cannot say that as I'm going in station A I know how much it should be, or you are going to finish session B. No, once you go in, whatever you see, you buy. You can come in now and they will write, like when I was coming out, the filling session where I bought 950 naira. Go to other states, it's 1,000 plus. And just like that. If I take it to be 1,950 naira now, I may enter fuel station and see 1,100 or whatever. That is the way it has become. Even the Department of Petroleum Resources that we showed before, they tinkered it without changing any of the systems. So I must tell you that the stories they are about vessels loading from this point to they have even brought in middle persons and so many bureaucratic approach that will help them cut corners. They divert all those. In fact, even as we talk, the quantity of product leaving the country illegally is another issue. If the nearby countries are getting our products, but the city cannot get it, that is an issue. Where do they get the ones they ship out, they transfer to nearby countries like Niger, Cameroon, illegally? Go to Cotonou, you see our products illegally transferred, even as we talk. If you are telling us that it's because of mother and daughter transfer and whatever, that is why we are thunderstorm, you could get the quantity that is being moved out, then something is wrong. Let me tell you, what is happening in the power sector, or rather oil sector, is a collaboration of mindsets. And they know what they are doing. They collaborate to punish Nigeria. And except the system is overhauled, and except those in the key players in government, except they determined to do the right thing, it will continue. The first thing you do is to hire the right people, and also to make people understand that if anything, they will be held accountable. Not for them to come and produce new English. What's the next one that will come? If it gets worse, they will come and tell us another gram again. They will tell you, we have enough, don't go into panic buying, yet you see it worsening. So, continuing. So, that is the question. Has it been a continuous thunderstorm every moment, every day? That is the question.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
The role of nurses in our society is to ensure that people live healthy. And we do this through promotion. In promotion, we promote people's way of life, having them engage in physical exercises, having them have good nutrition, safe water, safe environment to promote health. And we also go ahead to talk about the preventive measures, proper hand washing, that will prevent one from transferring disease from one person to another. We go about preventing injuries in the home and where we work. We also talk about rehabilitation Because we have tried to promote, prevent, and eventually we're done with disease or injury. How do we manage such situation? We treat in the hospital, the doctor prescribing, we nurses administering. At the end of the day, if there is need for rehabilitation, we ensure that there is prompt rehabilitation. By so doing, we have covered the first degree, second degree, and third degree of care. First degree of care being preventing that injury from occurring. Second degree of care being prompt treatment, and third degree of care being rehabilitation.
Bright and early as the day breaks, as the newspaper headlines trail the stories that shape the day. We at Signature TV trail the headlines that trail the day. We interrogate the headlines. We analyze the stories that make the headlines.
Wyatt is overrated, and they even overrated themselves and went into CBT. They are insensitive of some Nigerian children who have never had what they call CBT.
With passion and emotion, we drive the conversation to change a narrative.
Let nobody be deceived by Nigerian high level of performing in agriculture export. We are still where we are.
Newspaper review on Signature TV every morning on Signature Morning, weekdays, and Signature New Day, weekends. Newspaper review on Signature TV. We do not just review the headlines, we make the headlines relevant to our daily lives.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking. Events occur and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
Thank you so much for staying with us. You're still watching Signature Morning on Signature TV. Now, urban sanitation management in Nigeria has become a growing concern as cities expand, and the idea of city-wide inclusive sanitation is increasingly becoming part of the conversation on how to address it. Now, joining us this morning via Zoom is Dr. Emmanuel Kuki. He's the Acting Director, Center for Water and Sanitation Studies, River State University. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. All right. Now, looking at rapid urbanization in Nigeria, how would you assess the current state of urban sanitation in Nigeria, and how does city-wide inclusive sanitation come in? What is it all about?
Yes, citywide inclusive sanitation, generally called CY, becomes very important because of the chaotic situation our urban sanitation is. Previous this time, that we more focused on rural sanitation, but we have left our urban environment to be like an open sewer. For example, it may shock you that about 120 million people in Nigeria don't have decent toilets. So that tells you, if you are going out in Nigeria, in any state, from Abuja to wherever, if you are having a running stomach, you have to think twice. Even going to public government offices and you are pressed, It's difficult to have any place you can easily ease yourself. Or is it in the market? Is it the filling stations? So when they say that close to 24% of Nigeria defecate openly, it is not mad people. It is not people that choose to do that, because imagine you traveling from Port Harcourt on the road, say to Owerri, just a few 200 kilometers. There is no way you can get public toilets. So what happened is the driver will stop and people will go into the bush and shit. They are not mad people. And so if you take a greater picture into the city now, where does our excreta, sewage, fecal sludge go? Yes, you have a good toilet. Yes, you have a good water closet system. Where does it go at the end of the day? Even the city of Abuja managed to have a very miniature wastewater treatment plant that serve only the people in the basically the 3 arm zones. Although, you know, the rest of Abuja, the shits are thrown all over the place. So the city-wide inclusion can become necessary, because we need to look at all the sanitation systems in the city. We have to look at the sanitation policies. We have to look at the agencies. We have to look at the institutions. We have to look at the behavior of even the people, even where the infrastructures are provided. There's a behavior that is inimical to good urban sanitation. So it becomes necessary that we have to look at inclusiveness. That's the essence of the word, inclusiveness. Even in the slum, not so we cannot just say, oh, we are in Maitama, we are in Wuse, we are, you know those big places, or we are in Port Harcourt, we're in Jere, we are in this place, we're in Cocaine Village, or okay, we are in Victoria Island, we are in Lekki, you know. So what about the people in Isolo? What about the people in Mushi? What about the people in Diob, in Port Harcourt? Okay, what about the people in my 9 Mile in Enugu? You know, I can go on telling you. So what about those people? So citywide industrialization talks about creating adequate infrastructure to cope with the rapid urbanization, like you said. So that is why it becomes necessary that we need to look at these issues critically. Hello?
We can't see anything.
But we can also say that in citywide inclusive sanitation, we are looking at how do we manage diverse technology. For example, for example, in the household, the user interface, that is where we do the business. Okay, so like you could see the containment pictures. So how do you have WC, you have on-site facility, and then that, you know, there are those who defecate openly. So then, how do we empty? Most of the empty, like now, rain is falling in most parts of Port Harcourt, in most parts of Nigerian cities. People just open their septic tank, their pit latrine, and just hose it out into the environment. And so, how do we empty? The transport, how do we transport the fecal matter from the septic tank for the pit latrine? How do we move it from the containment pit? Where does it go? That's a big question. Then treatment, that is not even there at all. So you find out that in an average city in Nigeria, maybe another day we will show you this picture. I can show you for Port Harcourt, I can show you for ENUGU, I can show you this picture for Abuja, I can show you this picture. You'll be amazed that we are literally defecating openly, everybody, including the honorable ministers and the president. Sorry, that is the truth. Because at the end of the day, when these pits are emptied, they are disposed into the environment. And so how can you even have good governance? The last person was talking about, no, you can't even have a good governance. These are indicators of bad governance. Because if a country cannot manage the sanitation system, you cannot govern. Sorry. If you can't manage sanitation, you can't govern. Because what you cannot measure, you cannot manage. So if you want Nigeria to be fixed, then you start fixing the obvious. It's happening in 21st century in Nigerian modern cities, the giant of Africa. Let me shock you. There have been a number of urban water and sanitation, program reform. Recently, federal government has collected $700 million for shore wash program. They have taken 7 states. None of the states can even meet the basic sanitation. None. Why? The capacity is not there. Forget, yes, we have development partners here. They are working, UNICEF, WHO, name them. But the capacity is not there. They were never structurally trained. Not structured training. So they do things they don't even understand the rationale why they are doing it. So that's why it's very important that center is very critical. If you have to build the capacity, because you put money in the public sector, it can't work because the people that the money was meant for don't know what to do. So if you even see the other diagram, we talk about service delivery. There's no policy in the whole country that talk about fecal sludge management. We are just shitting and throwing away. All the whole waterways is polluted. Why are you surprised that we are having cholera on rainy season in Lagos, in Port Harcourt, flood everywhere? Why? Because there is no structure, there is no agency of government in the whole length and breadth of Nigeria that is responsible for how we manage basic excreta. Yes, you can say Lagos State has office for water and wastewater management. Fine. But you see, let's give credit to the founding fathers of Nigeria. Jakonde, Lagos State have close to about 7 wastewater treatment systems. None is working. Put by Jakonde. None. So every place people are just disposing wastewater straight to the river in Port Harcourt, in Abuja, in Enugu. So very soon, even the lakes, all those lakes in the southeast will all become sewage pit. And so it's critical that we have to begin to look at how we address these issues. Thank you.
Now, sanitation management often suffers from fragmented responsibilities across federal, state, and local authorities. So I'd like to know, how would you say that governance and policy gaps affect the effective implementation of sanitation programs in Nigeria?
Yeah, of course, you know what our national assemblies are doing. Okay, let's even look at the 10th assembly. What policy, what legislations have they actually put in place for WASH? None. Let's go across 36 states. River State, they have an assembly, of course. We know what is happening there, so let's even leave that matter. So, which state assembly has actually enacted one law that addresses the issue of fecal sludge in the whole of Nigeria? Those pictures I'm showing you, like if you see the other ones that they are dumping on the farmland, the other, no, not this one. The next, you see fecal matter disposed on the farmland. No, there's no. So if there is no proper policy, proper legislative instrument, even proper capacity with even the government establishment we have now, for example, and every state has Minister of Water Resources, Minister of Environment, Minister of Health. But there is no capacity for this issue. And so there's not even policy guideline to get this done. So we need to get those policies. And now, even in the, okay, let's look at the shore wash program happening in Katsina and Plateau State, for example. So because to address that gap, so the World Bank says, okay, fine. You have Environmental Protection Agency that is not really protecting anybody. Can we look at amending the law to create say Plateau State Sanitation and Environmental Protection Agency? Because when we talk sanitation, all our mind go to solid waste. Solid waste is a sector on its own. I don't even want, if you put solid waste inside this matter now, it's chaotic. So let's even leave solid waste alone. At least they are trying to move it from one point A to point B. But this is issue that nobody is doing anything about. And if you go, 78% of the illnesses in Nigeria is communicable disease, and it is caused by these issues. So, so we need to look at the institutions. Some people say even the water board, water corporations, they're just dragging, okay, we can do this, but even the water you cannot supply. So why don't you even focus? Okay, look at in Port Harcourt, for example, we have the Urban Water African Development Bank project. The facility has been built, good facility, modern water supply facility, but the water has not gone out of the Port Harcourt Water Corporation. Complete, good facilities. Go to Kaduna, the same thing. Go to all over. The water is, people are still digging boreholes. So for me, I would feel that proper policy and proper strategy will be, now that we have treatment plants, I think good water treatment plants in Port Harcourt that I can testify. Modern system, modern. If you enter that premises, you'll be amazed what you have there. But the water is not on the street. Nobody's getting the water. Because for you to get the water, they have to put pipe and put meter. Water is not free. Water has economic goods. That fund that the state government borrowed, about 260 million USD, has to be paid back. So, also, these are, then you look at even what I'm talking now. Even if properly managed, can even increase the internal generated revenue of the state. For example, we estimated in Lagos State, if Lagos State can be able to manage their complete private service chain, they can generate 10 billion naira every month. So we're not talking about free services, but it has to be structured and intentionally, deliberately done to be able to achieve that goal. And so there's lack of capacity. If the capacity is there, then people can be able to let their government know that you can build this infrastructure, you can build these services and generate revenue. At the same time, keep people healthy. If every day you go to the, and even the children's hospital is tooling down here, why did you? It is that we are eating shit. And let me tell you something. We say 24% are doing open defecation. You find out that when a whole sewage truck empties its sewage on the river, on the land, it is equal to 5,000 people doing open urban defecation. So we need to look at how do we address this issue. That is why sewers comes in. And sewers require a deliberate plan. You must know. You must have the mandate organization. It is not a job for everybody. Which organization is the lead agency? And as of now in Nigeria, apart from the state that are benefiting from shore wash program that have tried to create a lead agency, but again, the issue is capacity. The capacity is not there. So even the $700 million that was borrowed cannot be utilized because there is no, you have to utilize it, and it is performance-based investment. So when you perform, reach a milestone, you can get the money. So it's not like a loan. It's not like they give you, oh, go and look for what. No. It's a performance base. When you perform, reach a milestone, you can get the money. So the money is there. At the World Bank, nobody can get it because they are not meeting the requirement of the performance target that requires you to get the funding. And so it requires that states, government, needs to begin to look at this because, by the way, these are matter in concurrent lists and residual lists. So in a way, too, you don't really have to blame the federal government in a way, but the federal government should be able to have a national policy that shows this is the direction we want to go. And then they can do benchmarking across the states. So, but it's a pity we are where we are here. But again, we can't continue like this. That is why urban sanitation should take priorities among states.
Mandate. But states actually implement these services. What concrete legal or fiscal reforms do you recommend to ensure state and that the local government also would find a way to deliver these seaways at scale? And how would you prevent funds being diverted?
Well, the first, I think it starts with we need to know where are we now. What is the status? Where are we, and what are the systems? So inventorization, context, studying the contextual situation of the sanitation in every state, all those states, and then so when you know what are kind of the systems we have, like I said, Lagos State are even at more advantage because they at least have infrastructures that they can put back to functionality. River State, Port Harcourt has one system that broke down. During Amechi government put it, subsequent government don't think about it. So it's broken down, it's not working. So you go to other states, some states have some facility like ENUGU, those older states, they have something that is not working. So the point now is you need to do a proper, auditing of what you have. And then what are the policies that others are doing? For example, the world will not wait for Nigeria. Our neighbors, say like Burkina Faso, say like Senegal, say like Abidjan, Ivory Coast. They are making efforts. They are making genuine efforts. And so like that's why the program we run in the center is a global program we're running across the world, and we have a regional hub that most university is doing in West Africa and other East and so those for example, we notice that how often do people even empty their septic tank? Some septic tanks, I'm sure even you will be amazed. I'm not sure even your own septic tank have been emptied in the past 10 years. Some septic tanks are not empty at all. So when they want to empty, when assuming because the water start coming back to the toilet and they want to empty, and then the guys only suck water. The real solid matter is not removed. It's just water. But again, there's also something I can let you understand is that these things are resources. Come on. These things that we're talking about, that will be a discussion for another day. Like you see that farm, they put it, I won't tell you the state. These things are resources. So if properly treated, for example, we have problem of fertilizer. Why do we have to why do we have to go to Morocco? Morocco is the only, very few countries have the highest, have the ore for phosphorus. Phosphorus is the major item in fertilizer. Nitrogen you can get from the air, potassium you can get it. But phosphorus is a limiting factor. So that's why we import phosphorus from Morocco to fortify our fertilizer. But do you know that the richest source of phosphorus is a human excreta? So imagine if we properly treat, recover organic fertilizers, mixed with organic waste, solid waste, and animal waste, you build a sound fertilizer that can grow crops. And now we're having food insecurity. Most of our land has suffered from nutrient depletion because of application of chemical fertilizers. So these things are resources. From this same fecal matter we're talking about, you can get charcoal. You can replace your charcoal, what we call biochar. And that would reduce forest depletion or deforestation. Why do you think water hyacinth is growing all over, especially in Bayelsa? It's because the nutrients from fecal matters are going to the river. If you remove those fecal matter, no water hyacinth will grow in any water body. And again, this water hyacinth is also resources. So the sanitation we're talking now is a secular economy, secular sanitation. And what stewards try to do is that what resources can we recover? So it's not an open-ended thing that you just take and done. But we need to begin to address this issue because it affects our children. Our children are stunted. Look at the kind of water people are picking, where already fecal matter have been dumped into. I'm not even talking about industrial waste, I don't even leave that one. But we're talking about the number of people we have in each city. So these are big issues that state must first do situational analysis, engage all the stakeholders. There ought to be some behavioral change because some people, even if you provide toilet, they don't. Some people squat on top of water closet to go to toilet. Some people put their leg on public wash hand basin to wash their leg. So the issue of behavioral change. But then after doing what, then we talk about policy. What are the policies we need to make this work? Because private sectors have to invest. The PPP aspect of it, especially in the treatment.
All right, Dr. Cookie, thank you so much for your time. We apologize for cutting you short and also for the technical issues we had during the program. But this is a conversation that we need to continue talking about, addressing sanitation management in Nigeria, particularly this city-wide inclusive sanitation. But it's a pleasure having you join us this morning. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Cookie. Coming your way next is Political Circle with Lukumbo. After that, our Abuja studio joins us for more discussions. Have a great one.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking. Events occur and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
With a population of about 36 million people, the Southeast is awash with stories. Every day on Southeast News, we tell the peculiar story of the Southeast and her people.
Our Southeast should be the Silicon Valley of Nigeria.
Their successes, achievements, and daily challenges. Do you have a Southeast story to share? Community achievements and challenges, completed and uncompleted projects, bad roads, water scarcity, erosion, flooding, insecurity, or even disagreements? Bring it on to Southeast News. On Southeast News, no story is too big or too small. Southeast News. Let's tell our story. Showing on Signature TV every weekday at 4 p.m. WAT, 1600 hours GMT.
Get plugged into the heartbeat of entertainment on the hub, your ultimate show on e-vibes. From trending stories and social media drama to top charting music, must-watch movies and exciting moments from the world of arts, we've got it all. Join us for unmissable conversations with your favorite entertainment personalities, plus fun segments every week.
So I should try harder. So
Okay, I don't know that one.
outfit of the day.
Oh, I don't do that. That's some Gen Z stuff.
Oh, now you say it's a Gen Z stuff.
It's everything you love about entertainment, served fresh every week at 1 p.m. with weekend repeats just in case you missed it. The Hops on E-Vibes, where the vibes never stop. Only on Signature TV.
Abuja, stand up, cause Shalimar's coming to town.
We are Shalimar. We will be performing all of our hit songs at our show at the International Conference Center in Abuja on October 4th.
Powered by Classic FM, the station that plays every song you know.
Make that move right now, baby.
Tickets are also available online at www.tix.africa/Shalimar. So make that move and celebrate this year's Independence Day like never before. 4th of October at the International Conference Center with Shalimar. Cause we'll be jamming over and over again.
Good morning. Welcome to Political Circle on Signature Television. Over the years, corruption in Nigeria has remained a cankerworm that has affected every aspect of the country. This destructive force is not only witnessed in a democracy, but also in military regimes. Just recently, the United States reaffirmed its commitment to impose visa ban not only on corrupt politicians, but also on their spouses and children. How far can this move go in curbing corruption? What other means should we apply to serve as a deterrent against corrupt practices in the country? This is our focus today on Political Circle. Our topic is corruption and the United States move to impose sanctions on corrupt Nigerian politicians. My name is Luke Mwo, and joining me is Dr. Dele Maxwell Ugwany, a social and political commentator. Doc, welcome to Political Circle.
Good morning, Dr. Luke. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing fine.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, thank you, my brother. Let's start. Let's understand the meaning of corruption. When we say corruption, what do we mean?
I think in a, let me say, in a uses his public office to abuse process to personal advantage, whether to one's family, to his cronies, instead of public good, general public good, by converting what is meant for people to your own personal advantage and not be altruistic. To me, that's what corruption means. Remember, former president said, stealing is not corruption. I think what he means to say then was stealing alone does not constitute corruption.
Okay.
For example, when you are supposed to do the right thing, you refuse to do the right thing. Money may not be involved. But for the fact that right thing has not been done, as a result of the way you want to manipulating process, whether money is involved or money is not involved, it's corruption. By making sure that things don't go the way they should go, in order to benefit the larger society, the greater number of people, is corruption. It's not when you have stolen money alone that constitutes corruption. What of people that rig election? What of vice chancellors that are not doing the right thing? What of the local government chairman, governors, ministers, even at family level? What of the husband that is not even providing for his family?
But
what of the wife?
Provide? What about if
the wife? Yes, this is. I'm just saying. What of the wife that is not doing her responsibility? Once you are not providing what is the right thing, even the Bible they say a man who can provide for his family is worse than infidel. And Bible also says, sorry to say now, using Bible, that who knows what is good and refuses to do it to that person is a sin. And once sin is involved, then corruption is involved. Corruption is what abuse the process of good living.
Okay. How does this act, this destructive force, affect the nation?
Well, it has affected our nation in the way that because things are not being done properly, everybody will have this mentality of, you don't know who I am, do you know me, do you know who I am? Big manism, the spirit of the mentality of anyhowness. Then there's no deterrent for whatever we do. That's why it's in Nigeria today, you still go to Nigerian prison services. I mean, they now call it correctional centers. That's on paper. They're not correcting anything. But when you go there, you see that the people that are being held or detained or locked up or serving prison terms, various prison terms, are people that their offense may be that they stole this cup. But because they belong to the hoi polloi of the society, they are held there. Police can charge someone who pickpocketed somebody for armed robbery, while leaving the main armed robbers alone. The people, you will steal 500 billion as a former governor. but you are moving around with convoy. But somebody who stole a goat or a chicken, police will lock the person up. And that's why today in Nigeria, criminal justice is below zero. A big man will have a case in court. Within a space of 2-3 months, it has moved from lower court to Supreme Court, and it has been adjudicated and dispensed of. But a poor man will spend 10 years awaiting trial, if at a high state high court. Not to talk of appeal, not to talk of Supreme Court or whatever. But a rich man, wealthy people, so it has made the system to be heavily corrupt in the sense that nobody, no Nigerian, for example, has faith with system. You have a child who wants to study law, or want to study medicine, or want to study this, want to study that, because you are poor. Nobody is not taking. You won't take admission. Go to this hospital, even some public hospital in ENUGU here. I've mentioned them: Orthopedic Hospital, UNTH, or 8 Park Lane, for example, in ENUGU here. You struggle to get a bed space. You have to know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody that knows somebody before they can get to a guest space. But with a phone call, a big man will just get a bed space. It has made private hospitals to thrive in a serious society where you have a functional system. Public health facilities are made available to everybody, irrespective of who you are. And that's why you travel abroad, you see that a cleaner in an office had the same privilege, social privilege, that the MD of that company has. They get to the same train, they move it to the same hospital. So, but here in Nigeria, because of the corrupt practices, the leadership, so to say now, they have cornered what is meant for everybody to themselves, to their own advantage.
Well, let's go into trying to find out. We have the EFCC. We also have other anti-graft agencies. Why are they not able to curb corruption?
Because Nigeria has happened to all of them. Nigeria has happened to ICPC. Nigeria has happened to EFCC. Nigeria has, that's why they duplicate. Nigeria is more interested in duplicating. You are driving now, road safety will stop you, VIO will stop you, police will stop you, then MOT will stop you. Oh, they are just duplicating so many things. EFCC is there. Then we'll ask you, the problem I have with EFCC personally is that it's not for us. It's an oppressive system used to witch hunt. Because we know you know those that are thief in Enugu State, in southeast in Nigeria. But those are the ones that are in high places, as I will speak today. What EFCC is doing to me is taking money from a private pocket and putting it into another private pocket.
Okay.
They take from Mr. A, harass Mr. A, and the beneficiary of that confiscated money is another Mr. B. Then when another cycle comes, then Mr. B will become the harassee. They begin to harass the person again. Because we know how many governors are in jail, how many ministers are in jail, how many local government chairmen are in jail, how many head of MDAs are in jail, how many of them. But EFCC will be busy pursuing young boys that are with laptop, exposing them, parading them with singlet and boxers, busting their houses, arresting them and going to student hostels. I'm not encouraging criminality or what, but what is good for the gays should be good for the, or what is good for the gender should be good for the. If you want to fight corruption, make it a thorough one, not selective.
But now we have a good news. If you accept it, it's a good news that the United States of America have come openly to reaffirm their determination to now impose sanctions on corrupt politicians in Nigeria. Not just the politicians now, but they are extending it to their spouses and children. How do you see this?
Well, it's a good news and it's not a good news. I prefer that America will not allow the money to come into America in the first instance. Instead of not allowing them to come. Because what is the idea of banning them from coming to America? After they've done the damages, they've damaged the economy, then you don't ban them from coming to America. To what extent does that banning them or restraining them or stopping from entering, to what extent does it improve the quality of life? America is doing wonders. They are doing the right thing. They want, but
I didn't ask you to bring the money to their place.
Yes, there must be a mechanism whereby when you bring as you are bringing the money, you are being apprehended at the point of entry of the money, not at the point of entry of the person who brought you after the money has been there for a long time. Remember, Switzerland is still returning Abacha loot when someone like you was still in secondary school. That will tell you how long. Abacha made us richer in debt than when he was alive because of various millions of dollars being repatriated back to the country. So America should go further. It's not enough. For me, I don't even see that as a deterrent, personally. Because if you don't allow them to come into America, they can go to Switzerland, they can go to France, they can go to UK, they can go to Australia, they can go to Canada, they can go all over the place to enjoy the loot. But America should say, look, if you have stolen, because the idea of who is corrupt politician is even subjective. Because you don't handpick. The other day, Sowore petition, I think the letter left, last week, Sowore petition wiki. Not because Sowore likes or hates wiki or hates the system. But because there's a soured relationship. Okay. So it's not when you not single out Wike. Is Wike the only politician who has house or houses in the US? There must be a holistic approach. Almost all politicians, they've stolen us dry and they bought. So why isolate Wike? Because you don't seem to like his face, or because he's the enemy of my enemy. Is my enemy. Enemy of my friend is my friend. So it doesn't work that way. So because this is hypocrisy. So Where himself, is he free? So where is the founder, is the chairman, is the treasurer, is the president candidate, is everything AAC. All the money contributed towards his presidential campaign in 2019 and 2023. Is there has he presented any accountability, any account? Is he transparent? Who is he accountable to? Does one man run political party? Who is the general secretary? Who is the secretary of his party? When last did he hold the convention of his party or congress of the party? So it's a system. It's a systemic rot. So somebody should not just come and want to play holier than thou.
But this time around is extending to the spouses and children of these corrupt politicians. Don't you think it has any impact?
You mean the ban?
Yes. The
visa. To me, the visa ban, they have alternative outside America. They have alternative. America should go a step further by making sure that let them lure those politicians into America first and get them jailed. It happened to Alamisiaya. Before he disguised a woman and escaped, do conspiracy anyway, because I do not think that somebody who is being held in UK will just disappear from UK prison, disguise a woman, and no, this thing is a global thing. It's a global conspiracy against weaker countries. So what I'm saying, America says, okay, we have bought all this land, no problem, come. America has dragnets. If somebody has done a transaction that is considered illicit or illegal in American society, in America, in any state in America, let America use let them activate extradition law. They can get UK or whoever extradited back to America to be prosecuted and get jailed. So if 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of such, then they will sit up. you'll be amazed that to know the amount of Nigerian money
That's in the
in
US.
capital flights. Not even US. US is just one of the countries. US is not even where Nigerian politicians keep their loot. They have to remember Pandora. Remember all this Paris, all these global finance companies. That's why they put this. That's why they put this money. And it will tell you to know, look, that a Nigerian politician will steal 1 billion naira and put in a European bank. European will go there, take the money as loan, and return the same money to Nigeria, and claim that it's coming to invest. You are taking money kept in your bank by our own people and returning the same money to Nigeria and claim that you are coming to invest. That's the irony.
Well, let's look at other aspects of the visa ban. It's extended to both human trafficking, other frauds. So how do you see it? Will it have any impact at all?
It will have impact, but my own position is this: we are begging America to create a system in order to. They say prevention is better than cure. They are simply helping to cure this thing, but they should help to prevent it
rather than cure.
Rather than attempting to cure it, because once the damage has been done, when you have taken away over 500 billion naira as a sitting governor, then you have damaged the economy. You have damaged the standard of living of a people. They have been denied of basic infrastructure. They've been denied of basic essence of life. So after 4 years, 5 years, you don't ban them. You don't say they shouldn't enter. You should come to America as a form of punishment. To what extent does that ban? To what extent does it restore
the money
stolen, the life wasted? Because once there are no social infrastructure like good hospitals, quality education, and road infrastructure, as a result of that, people's life will be, life expectancy will be cut short. So to what extent does that ban now restore people's dignity, restore people's quality of life? But they can in a way structure it. Like CBN, for example, you can't take away money, dollar. You can't do money laundering without having dollar. Recently, I was in Tanzania, I was in Kenya, I was in Uganda. That last month, this September, in August. But before you can change your money, you have to, before you can change dollar to Tanzania shilling or Kenyan shilling or Uganda shilling, you have to, you submit your passport, international passport. You have to submit your international passport. They photocopy it and file it, and because then if you are changing $100 to Tanzanian shilling, for example, they will know who is having the money, because you have to submit your international passport. They will look at it, they will document it, so thereby they will know this $100 they are receiving, and this Tanzanian shilling they are giving out is going to so person. Thereby they will now know who is who has taken what. But in Nigeria, go to Owerri Road there, go to street, you can change anything, no record, nothing. You can go to Owerri Road, you bring $100,000, they will get it changed for you and transfer the money. Nobody asks you for anything. So how do you track that kind of? So when you go there, you see how.
I can see, Doc, that you're not very impressed with the U.S. move. But what other ways I'm very impressed. I didn't say you're not impressed. Okay. I said, what other ways can we activate to help curb?
Let America help Nigeria strengthen this transaction. Like if you go to bank now, you want to deposit money in the bank. If it's not proper, it will knock off. It will not accept. If you want to pay something. Because now these things work, because it works when they are dealing with ordinary people. Then we want to pay a certain amount of money, then it knocks off. If I have stolen money 200 billion, and I want to longer it, let America help us create a system that such money will not get into their financial system.
Okay. Do you have a system to return
bounce it back
to Nigeria?
To Nigeria. If such queries
is not our friend, Doc. Thank you very much. I think we'll find time to handle this particular topic again.
Okay, thank you very much.
That's our show today. I've been talking to Dr. Maxwell Dele Ugwany. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much.
And my viewers, thank you for being part of the show. My name is Luke Mbo. Nigeria, we hail thee.
Bright and early as the day breaks, as the newspaper headlines trail the stories that shape the day. We at Signature TV trail the headlines that trail the day. We interrogate the headlines. We analyze the stories that make the headlines.
WAEC is overrated, and they even overrated themselves and went into CBT. They are insensitive of some Nigerian children who have never had what they call CBT.
With passion and emotion, we drive the conversation to change a narrative.
Let nobody be deceived by Nigerian high level of performing in agriculture export. We are still where we are.
Newspaper review on Signature TV every morning on Signature Morning, weekdays, and Signature New Day, weekends. Newspaper review on Signature TV. We do not just review the headlines, we make the headlines relevant to our daily lives.
Signature TV, news in your pocket. Hello and welcome to Abuja this rainy Tuesday morning in the Federal Capital Territory. My name is Mwabos Njoko, and this is coming to you on a rather cool, breezy, rainy morning. What are we discussing this morning? The Nigerian police. There was a time on this program I said that the Nigerian police was an abused and a misused institution. Some people took exception to that. I did not withdraw that statement because I tried to use facts and situations to back that comment. But that's not the issue we're discussing this morning. The Nigerian police, as the front leader in Nigeria's internal security, are these empty words, or are we making them realistic, functional? Are we providing for the police to deliver on that as the front leader in internal security? Are we training them? By the way, are they in fact enough in number to execute and deliver on that mandate? Tomorrow, Wednesday, that issue may crop up at a different event. But this morning, I have in the studio those who know or who should know. Let me start from my left. I have Folari Aluko. Folari Aluko is the past chairman of NBA, Nigerian Bar Association, Abuja. They call them Unity Bar. Folari, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, sir.
Please, how united are you people in that bar? By the way, what do you serve in that bar? Champagne? Or only water?
We serve the rule of law, and as its name is called, the sobriquet, the Unity Bar, to some degree, we try to achieve unity. Unity is not a destination; it is a process. And sometimes there's this saying: we agree to disagree, we meet to part, and we part to meet. So
that we meet today, we won't disagree.
Hopefully,
thank you very much. And on my right is Idris Bauer. Idris Bauer is a gentleman who is focused on police affairs. He is a police affairs, not just analyst, but also an enthusiast. Bauer, you're welcome to the program.
It's a pleasure to be here.
How do you feel being associated with the police, with the Nigeria police?
Well, police is a good profession. However, we have a lot of challenges facing the Nigerian police. And
we'll look at all those challenges this morning. So we're looking at the Nigerian police as the front leader in internal security. And let me just create a foreground. In this country, let me go to before 1966, January 15. If you entered a train from Port Harcourt, I was in eastern Nigeria, from Port Harcourt going to Kaduna. Along the line, you could see a policeman. No guns, no firearms, a baton. He enters, scrutinizes, not necessarily the railway police, but majorly the railway police. And if they saw somebody who had a kind of haircut and they suspected the person was a soldier, they would approach him and confirm that he's a soldier. If he is, they ask for his pass. If he had no pass, the next station will arrest him, bring him down, and hand him to the appropriate military authorities. And that soldier did not raise a whimper, because he knew that that police officer was acting within the law. Again, around 1962, 61, 62, when there was the tea riot, and the Tafawa Balewa administration deployed the military, Nigerians were up in arms, protesting. How dare you deploy soldiers for what was essentially a civil disorder? And they took the Tafawa Balewa government to the cleaners. And then there used to be, or there still is, what then we called riot police, but it's now the police mobile unit. If civil disorder went beyond conventional policing, it was another arm of the police trained to operate within civil population that was drafted in. But after the 1966 coup, something happened. It appeared that there was a policy, a movement to underdevelop the Nigeria police force. Bringing us to this conversation this morning, are we just calling the Nigeria police the front leader in name? As an institution, do they even realize now, having been so underdeveloped for so many years? Are we equipping them enough? Are we training them enough? I'm going to begin with Idris Bauer. Idris, you know why I lay that foreground? So that the younger ones who did not know, experience a police force that operated in Nigeria, could understand why we are holding this conversation this morning. My question, therefore, is the Nigeria police, in real terms, the front leader of Nigeria's internal security?
Well, as it is now, we cannot say that the Nigerian police is the frontline leader, because if you look at the 36 states of the Federation, we have deployed military to almost all the states across the 36 states of the Federation. So if we are saying they are the front leader, that is not actually the truth. Part of the challenge, just like what you stated, the police over time had a lot of challenges when it comes to funding, which I think was deliberate by the military coming in to ensure that issues surrounding internal security were not properly handled. I'll just go very quickly to something that happened in 2020. The Bureau for Public Service Reform did a research on funding of the Nigerian police. The research is online. The Bureau for Public Service Reform is a government-established institution. Part of that report was that the police stations were given as much as 50,000 naira per quarter to run a police station.
50,000 naira per quarter.
Per quarter to run a police station, to manage a police station. Fueling of cars, buying of stationaries, paying electricity bill, ensuring there's clean water and all of that within the police station. How do we expect the police to function when this is happening? I'll go back a little bit. I think sometimes in I can't remember the year. There was a particular year the police had a budget of about 28 billion naira. How much was released? 8 billion. Where do you expect the police to get that additional 20 billion to manage the affairs or the policing of the citizens? So it's been one form of deprivation and another, particularly to the Nigerian police, and that has done a lot of damage to our system. So how do we say, in fact, in terms of budgeting of the Nigerian police, they do what we call envelope budget, which is a very big problem. Have we taken time out to say, for instance, let's take a state as an example. I'll use a state like Kaduna, for instance, or let me say ENUGU. Every police post should tell us how much they need to run that particular, post. Yeah. From post, you come down to divisional level. How much does the DPO need to effectively police that division? From the division, you come down to the area command. How much does the area commander need to oversee the affairs of the police within that space? And then you come to commissioner of police. By the time we have a budget that flow from down top, then we know how much exactly we need to fund a police station or a police in a state. Without that, we are just wasting our time. Truly, as we speak, the military, majority of their institutions, like the training schools, NDA and all of that, they have separate budget outside that of
the military
operations. The police colleges, do they have something like that? No. Why is it so? Visit any barracks in Nigeria today and tell me whether human are actually living in those barracks. That's how appalling it is. For the way and manner the police even manages, it beats me, because you can't build something on nothing and expect it to stay. That's one palace we know as lawyers. So I think we need to do more for the Nigerian police. I don't want to, let me start investigation, for instance. This part of, my colleague is here, is a lawyer. This is a part where you arrest before you investigate. And these are some practices that we shouldn't even allow at this 21st century. Once a matter is reported, police should be given the right equipment to do their investigation.
And the resources.
Arrest and then prosecute. But it's a different ballgame altogether. So there are a lot of challenges facing the Nigerian police.
I will come to some of them, because many people experience them on daily basis and complain. Let me go to Fulani. Fulani, he's raised something that rankles. We in the media, we say, look, the police are irresponsible. They grab you, they detain you, and if you insist and make enough noise, they take you to court and they tell the judge, we are investigating. And with that, we are investigating, they now have the legal basis to dump you in detention. And he says the procedure should in fact be suspicion, investigation, arrest, and prosecution. How did the police come to this? I want to ask this question, drawing from the underfunding factor he has raised, please.
That's a fantastic question, and my very senior colleague, Mr. Bauer, is a police historian, in fact, the security historian, has laid a very solid foundation. You know, Nigeria is unfortunately a very interesting country, and as you rightly said, the process, we have this challenge because it is primarily a funding issue. Now, with investigations, in most cases, about 80 to 90% of crime or investigation is carried out at the scene of the crime, and most times, most of the evidence, if at all, is located at the scene of the crime. If you look at the provisions of the ACJA and the Police Act, they often require that when an incident is reported, that the police officer should be designated to go to the scene of the crime to conduct the investigation. But then there's a funding challenge, and so what tends to happen is that the police would invite, so if there's a petition, the police would invite the respondent, who then would either go willingly or unwillingly, and then, you know, once they're within custody, a lot of things tend to start happening, and so it triggers a series of events that should ordinarily not be so. So the first thing the police would do is, okay, now this person is invited, they want to ensure that the person comes when requested for, and so the person is arrested and then put on quote unquote administrative bail, and so it leads to a series of human rights infractions. I say that a lot of the time. In fact, Nigeria is maybe one of the few countries where you're invited by the police, you pay your way to attend to that interview, you pay your boarding, if you're flying or if you're going by road, you pay for accommodation. So a case happens in Lagos, you're invited to Abuja, you pay to be arrested and detained, and then, because that's essentially what happens, and then after being arrested and detained, you may have to now bear the cost of the investigation by also paying, you know, in so many ways. So I think everything comes down to a funding gap primarily. There's also a training component to that conversation, because what then happens is that what we find is that the police then are forced to rely primarily on statements, you know, because it is statements that you extract from people in the course of this investigation that then makes it to court. And of course, once there's a problem with that statement, of course, the whole case is going to crumble. You know, so it's a very huge funding component and a training component as well, because in the 21st century, Ogabawa had mentioned that there are some things we shouldn't be discussing about in the 21st century. But a lot of crime, because we live in a digital economy, there are many ways to track and to investigate crime that do not necessarily involve inviting and arresting people before investigations. Because what that tends to do is that it then creates so many human rights problems that lead to distrust in the police, and then, you know, it creates a vicious cycle that doesn't help the police.
No, Fulani, I still want to stay with you. Well, first item we've identified underfunding of the police. But why do we underfund the police? It is an attitude. It is an establishment attitude. First, does the establishment realize the central role of police in internal security? Because if you do realize that central role, you prioritize it, you give it a value, and you give it a cost. So it is that attitude, that undervaluing of the function of the police by the establishment, not by Tinubu, not by a president, not even by the minister, the establishment that does budgets, weighs budgets, prioritizes funds, does not see the functionaries of the police as priority. It's a tangent. How are you lawyers? Because you feel it. At the end of the day, the shortage job is what you use to go to court.
Yes.
How do you react to it, and what are you doing about it?
I would say that's also a fantastic point, sir. The fault is historical in nature, and I think you did a very great job in laying that foundation. But what started with the military needing to undermine the role of the police as the frontline security actor when it comes to internal security issues, over the years led to, it first started as perhaps a means towards obtaining legitimacy by the military and legitimation. But we now see, or we start to see a series of institutional reforms that were touted as advancements or reforms, but were actually directed at whittling away the powers of the police. This may shift some perspectives, but the Federal Road Safety Corps, for example, is an essentially police branch of the police
traffic.
And then you have so many civil defense, for example. So why
EFCC is big branch?
Yes, EFCC was, when it was proposed as an investigative arm of the police. They will only do investigations, but now it has become something else entirely. So why do we create, or why does the establishment tend to create other institutions and fund them more than the primary institution that is responsible for internal security? So I think that there's a huge problem there, and the current Honorable Attorney General of the Federation, when I think about 2 or 3 weeks after he resumed office, made a statement to this effect, and he recognized that there were some institutions that needed to be merged and brought together, and that we had a proliferation of public institutions. That statement was lauded by many public affairs analysts. Unfortunately, till today, no step has been taken in that direction. So, the question is, what are the interests within the establishment that are not that do not want to have a strong police force? Because the truth of the matter is that the police force is the only force in any country that can actually handle internal issues. Of course, there's at a more extended level, there's that conversation about whether we should have state police versus federal police and so on. But I think at its core, it is only the police force that is trained and that at the moment has the public accountability mechanisms that can interface with the public. Now, with regards to how are lawyers handling the situations, I think there's the public accountability conversation, or part of that conversation. And of course, as you rightly mentioned, whenever there's an infraction on human rights, there has to be some sort of recourse or remedy. One of the biggest challenges that we have had in the legal profession since the passing of Chief Gani Fawemi is that most times, and I was just having a conversation with someone recently, we frame our public interest litigation from an individual perspective. And this, I will say this to lawyers now. Many lawyers, when framing public interest, not even public interest, when framing human rights infringement cases, we don't tend to look at the broad scope. And so when framing prayers, for example, prayers are framed, or the courts are asked to make findings in relation to specific cases, and not, for example, giving judgments, for example, that say that arrests before investigations are unlawful or illegal or prejudicial.
So there's nothing generic that can be used to apply to other situations.
Yes, so that's one major problem. And I think within the legal profession there's a lot of reform currently going on, because the situation cannot continue this way. I know, for example, that, if I may speak just with by way of general knowledge now, for a long time, many lawyers would not challenge illegal arrests. So if someone has been arrested and detained, what we tend to focus on as lawyers is the illegal detention and not necessarily the illegal arrest. But there is more attention being focused now on illegal arrest. So an arrest that is based on on an agreement or a contract, for example, that is purely civil, you find lawyers challenging the arrest in court and the detention as separate incidents on their own.
But I've been calling Idris. I've been calling because the name I got was Idris. Am I correct, or is it Ibrahim?
Idris.
Idris, I'm correct, my dear. But I want to come to you because the issue I raised with him was establishment attitude, which was the cause of the other things we discussed now. If we agree that the establishment attitude is wrong, if we agree that the establishment attitude does not place considerable premium on the police force and therefore underfunds it and under-prioritizes it, what do we do to begin to point to this failing and the danger of it?
First and foremost, I think the government has to be deliberate. Deliberate in the sense that we have to take the bull by the horn. I say it anytime, any day. If you want to secure Nigeria as it is today, fund and train the police officers, men and women, train them, and recruitment also. Again, there are a lot of things. When it comes to issue of recruitment, let me digress a little bit.
Yes, please.
How is the recruitment done? Who has the power to recruit and all of that? It has been even a challenge among the actors, the Police Service Commission and the police itself. And this is something that is very clear. Who has the mandate? It's the Police Service Commission. Again, that's a story for another day because even the Supreme Court has made a pronouncement on that. I talked about budgeting system earlier. We should understand that policing requires funding. There are some basic issues that we try to do over time. My colleague was speaking about investigation. I give you an example again. While working with international organization, we discovered that cases were lost and won based on lack of adequate or proper investigation
by the police.
Why was this so? Because they didn't have the requisite knowledge or even the equipment to carry out such investigation. What did we do? In FCT and in Lagos, we identified some crimes that we feel the police need some support. Once a case is reported to the police, we made we call it SOP that allows either the police within itself to get a lawyer or contact Ministry of Justice in FCT or in Lagos to be part of that team that will investigate the matter. And what does that do? The issue of actus reus, which is part of legal balance, mens rea, the mental, all of this, the act. Once the lawyers involved, they identify some of these things early enough, and the police, based on those investigations and things like that, they are well prepared and give, very good investigative report. Outside of that, the issue of forensic became a very tough one again. We discovered that a lot of investigation being done by the police were just manually done. Sometimes victims are coerced into giving false statement and all of that. Then we decided to focus on training the police officers and equipping some of this, for instance, in Alagbon and FCT, with equipment to carry out forensic investigation. All of these are things that ordinarily the police should do, the government should do, but we allow international organizations to come in and play this role. For me, that is not very good, because we are also exposing our system to these organizations. What do we do? How do we move forward?
Yes,
it's very important. training is very key. As we speak, the Police Act 2020 has been passed. I'm not sure, if not for organizations like P1, some other organization working within the police space have decided to train the police officers on the provisions of this act. I'll tell you very simple. Arrest protocol, even ACJA, which my colleague spoke about, ACJL, made provisions on how you do arrests. As we speak, 90% of
police officers
who are on the field don't have the requisite knowledge on how to do these arrests. At some point, we tried to do an SOP, a force order, but that force order didn't see the light of the day. That's a pack. The Police Act 2020 has been passed. What about the regulations? That is a supplementary,
part of that law.
Part of that law that ordinarily will ensure proper implementation of the provisions of the Police Act. It has not been gazetted. Upon what law?
Will those stand now?
Policing even implementing the 2020 Act?
We'll come to that as a core issue. We'll come to that as a very big core issue. Let me turn to Fulani. Fulani, I asked Bauer what we can do for the establishment to begin to realize the central role of the police in internal security. Unless there's a method of interfacing with the establishment to bring the, as we're talking now, many of them are at their offices and they may not even be following. Some of them are watching music on their others are busy discussing some other business opportunities, or maybe really doing other administrative job. So it requires a mechanism to interface with the establishment, and let those watching us understand what I mean by the establishment. There are agencies, there are offices, there are decision points within government. Is the office of the National Security Advisor watching this program, for instance? Is it of concern to that office? Is the office of the Minister of Police Affairs watching this program? Does it mean anything to them? Who is in charge of internal affairs? Are they watching this program? Because the outcome of the performance of the police reflects on whether they are delivering service or not. So, what mechanism can be adopted to get the establishment to be on the same page with what we are conversing on now?
So it's a whole lot,
isn't it?
Yes, it is, because you would ordinarily expect that the initiative should come from the government, because I believe that security is everyone's business. It's not the exclusive preserve of just one institution. But if you look at Section 14 of the Constitution, you find, and several other provisions across the Constitution, Nigerian Constitution, you see that the government has a pivotal role and a primary role to ensure the security of the lives and property of Nigerians. And so, having said that, the pipeline should, or leadership should, come from government. So the fact that we're having this conversation already shows that there's a
challenge.
Someone has dropped the ball somewhere. But at the same time, also, we the people also have a responsibility, and that responsibility comes from the point of view of also having conversations like this and public accountability. And that is why it's important to engage with these stakeholders. Now, the national security infrastructure is one part of that establishment. We also have of course, the civil service as well, and then the legislature, because the legislature plays a very huge role in ensuring that, for example, if there are any laws that affect or impact on the police, that those laws, before they are passed, should be reviewed and vetted properly. So I would say that in terms of a mechanism that would draw the attention of these stakeholders, I think the first and the most important thing is to dialogue with them and to invite them. And I'm hoping that the NSA is watching this program, and if he's not watching live, his attention will be drawn to this program, after the fact. But this is an issue that should be of concern to all Nigerians, because security, we are only as strong as our weakest link. And I think the issue of security is everybody's problem. Mr. Bauer rightly talked about the provisions of the Police Act, which 2020, which of course introduces so many novel provisions, but it is not really about the issue of the laws. The question is, how are these laws implemented, and are the people who should implement them, do they even know that they have the responsibility to implement these provisions? So I think it starts with a conversation, and in some cases, I referenced the late Chief Ganifawa.
Yes.
There is to some degree room for public interests or strategic impact litigation as well, and I think that is something that should be taken up. Organizations like P1 have also taken an interesting step towards providing some sort of support towards so for example, the right of access of people who are arrested before pre-trial detainees, the right of access to legal counsel, for example, which has been provided for under the Police Force Order 20. So that's a provision that it's a police force order, but you find civil society working to give life to that provision. So you find lawyers in different police stations in some parts of the country, but there is need to expand these efforts and to also expand the dialogue as well.
Idris, sometimes it's not good for the outsider to cry more than the bereaved. Yeah. Because if we are raising these issues as outsiders, does the police leadership, there are certain things that should be given? We use street lingo. They don't shake body. Are they making the demands? Are they bringing these issues to public conversation? Because unless if they don't anyway, it means we are just when you cry too much for the dead, they say you killed him.
Well, I think the leadership of the Nigerian police, they are doing their best, truly. Why am I saying so? There's much they can do about crying out for some of these things and things like that, based on the fact that they are a government institution.